Sometimes I feel down. A lot of times, actually. Sometimes I just wake up that way, whether it's a bad dream or an offhanded comment that rubbed me the wrong way. Sometimes my brain just seems to be against me. I think we all have these days. The days when nothing will work. You just keep on going out of habit or of routine. Maybe we're just scared of who we'd become if we didn't. Maybe we're right. Maybe we'd become completely different people if we stopped showing up. If we stayed in our comfort zone, never went out, never tried new things or met new people. Change is scary and it informs a lot of bad situations we have in our life. But every time I revisit these emotions, I always remember a quote that I heard one day. Nothing changes if nothing changes. If I don't do anything about my depression, it won't go anywhere. I remember back in 10th grade, a year after the pandemic started, I asked my friend to tell me to go to therapy. It's like I was scared of helping myself, so I asked someone to choose for me. At that point, I've let my mental health spiral too far. I remember at my therapy intake appointment, I told my therapist that I would have massive depressive episodes like 5 times a week, and it would be a win for me if it went down to two. I stayed for about 2 months. I don't remember exactly what I told my therapist, but I remember feeling phony. I remember looking at him and he was looking at me worried as I told him that I felt all better and that I didn't need therapy anymore. I was fixed. I got a job at the time. I was a full-time high school student working part-time at a pizza joint, so I didn't have time for therapy anymore. I didn't have time to care about myself anymore. It was around my 16th birthday. My dad gave me his old car and he told me that he wasn't paying for insurance, so I needed to get a job, and that was it. I worked at that job for another 2.5 years, and about a year into college, I dropped it. I became an employee of the college, so I decided that making pizza would have to go. I wasn't really too sad about it. I figured that that job was the reason why my mental health became so bad. That brings us to today. Nothing changed because I never made changes. I've always been busy. That's what I tell myself anyway. I have class at 10 or I have homework to do. My guild in WoW is raiding tomorrow, so I have to work on my rotation. I fell into escapism. From high school alone, I sank about 5,000 hours into World of Warcraft. It was beautiful. I could talk to so many people without compromising my boundaries or social anxiety in the process. I could work on memorizing something that made me feel useful as a rotation. You could show me any item in the game and I could still tell you what drops it. You could tell me any class and I could tell you how to beat it. It was an addiction, and I know that now. Over the past year, I've cut myself off from it. I forced myself to confront these feelings that have never been resolved. I felt happier. I became stronger in social situations. I could talk to people I didn't know like it wasn't my job. I went outside. I remember 2 years ago I was watching an anime and it was some isekai where the main character dies in their home world and then they reincarnate in another. I wanted that. I sat in my room. It was an empty canvas that I never cared to paint, that I wished to live another life. A life other than the one that I have now. I felt like I was irredeemable in all senses of the word, all because I wasted so much of my time. I was given a hidden allotment of time and I spent it pressing buttons and talking to people whom I was destined to forget 5 years down the line. I felt like a failure. I remember my mom coming home from work each day and wondering why I wouldn't hang out with her. She asked me to watch Little House on the Prairie in the living room with her and the dogs. Something that still haunts me. I look back at it now as a failure of human decency. I failed to love, I failed to care, I failed to live. There's something so poetic about having an entire life ahead of you and still feeling irredeemable. It's the place I go in my darkest hour every time without fail. But nothing changes if nothing changes. After some external convincing from my partner, I agreed to enroll in my college's mental health services. 2 days from now will be my intake appointment. Sometimes I feel down, and I accept that. But if I keep on reliving my darkest hour, then the sunlight will never shine on the flowers again. And I love flowers. I love my friends. I love my mom. And I love my partner, who I'm currently taking a break from. I love my life, which is the hardest thing for me to admit. And maybe sometime soon I will learn to love myself just as much as I love everything else. I'm making changes. I want to change. I'm strong enough to make a difference, and I will make myself proud. Thank you.